Yo, what's up everyone? In this video, we're going to look at the Thursday main slate. It's a 9-game slate today. Yesterday, able to get in the money on the early slate in the single entry double ups on DraftKings. The main slate was not very good, so that early slate made up for that a little bit. Let's try to get right back into the money on this slate. It's a 9-game slate. We also have a 2-game early slate that we will be playing. So let's jump right into it. You can drop a like and subscribe. Let's try to get 100 plus likes on this video. On today's slate, you have Matthew Boyd priced above Jacob deGrom, both over 10,000. They're both similarly priced. You also have Kershaw. Of those three, I think I would go deGrom, Boyd, then Kershaw. But I kind of like David Price here at 9,700. He's been very good as of late. He's only been bad in like 2 starts this season. It's a really good matchup here. I like attacking this Rangers lineup with lefties. David Price has a good amount of strikeout upside with 69 strikeouts in just 60 innings. He's been very solid at home this season. He's coming off a great start against the Rays, and now he gets a great matchup here against this Rangers team, which, like I said before, they all struggle. They really struggle against lefties. And one of the bad starts that it looks like he had against Houston, that was a start that he got hurt, or didn't get hurt, but he was sick apparently, so only threw 15 pitches. So he's been super consistent because that start doesn't even count. I think here in this spot at home, being heavily favored also helps him. So at 9,700, I'm going to be going with Price. I also don't mind Zach Greinke either at 9,300. I kind of like those two pitchers a little more, and then I don't mind going with deGrom either. For my second pitcher, I'm going to go with Jack Flaherty. Just feel like he's way too cheap. 7,300 for Flaherty is a tremendous bargain. I expect him to be at least he's been over 8,000 for much of the season as of late. He was over 10,000 a couple times as well. To get him down to 7,300 with this ballpark upgrade, like I said, every time a pitcher has a bad start on DraftKings, they automatically get a huge price decrease. Every time a good pitcher does. Flaherty's going from $9,000 facing the Cubs down to 7,300 facing the Mets. Mets lineup is still not great. They have been hitting the ball a little better, but they are still dealing with some injuries in the lineup, so you have a lot of strikeout upside in the bottom half of the lineup. And Flaherty still has flashed his strikeout upside this season with averaging over a strikeout per inning at 73 in just 68 innings. He also he does give up a lot of power, but he does give up a lot of home runs, but hopefully this ballpark will help mitigate that. Either way, 7,300, the Mets have a pretty low total. Just makes a lot of sense to go with Flaherty. So today, to figure out which teams to stack, it's not like we have a long list of teams to stack today. I think the Yankees make for a good stack. I think you can obviously look at Coors, even though the Padres are facing John Gray. I still don't mind going to them just because DraftKings hasn't raised the prices on the Padres like you would expect when they're going in Coors. And we know the Padres have a lot of power, and John Gray does give up some power, so I don't mind going with the Padres stack either. So at first base, I'm going to go with Eric Hosmer. I just feel like he's a little too cheap. A guy in Coors at 4,300. To put in context, you have a lefty-lefty. Daniel Murphy is almost $1,000 more expensive than Hosmer. Hosmer has been pretty good as of late, and he's been great against right-handed pitching this season. Also gets a massive ballpark upgrade going into Coors. This season he's been great against righties, and he's been great on the road, as you would expect. Going from Petco into Coors is a huge difference. He's batting .297 against right-handed pitching this season, all 10 bombs against righties. At home, he's just batting .259, but on the road, he's batting .316. Has more power on the road, more home runs, and less games on the road. And he's just been hitting the ball pretty well. He had a great May. He hit .343 in May and June. It's only been a couple games, 10 games. Hasn't been hitting the ball super well, but overall, I just like the spot for him here against a righty in John Gray. It's a good ballpark to hit in, obviously, and the Padres have over a 5-run total, so I don't mind going with him at 4,300. I feel like that's still very appealing price-wise. Next up at shortstop, I'm going to go Didi Gregorius. I just like Didi's price tag a lot. It's a lefty-righty matchup here against Ivan Nova. His price tag is very favorable. He's been great since he's been back from an injury. We know he has a ton of power. Ivan Nova is just really bad. gives up a ton of hits. Doesn't strike many people out either. So this Yankee stack looks pretty appealing. So if you want to pay down a pitcher and go with a full-on Yankee stack, I don't mind that. But especially a guy like Didi Gregorius, feel like he's in a great spot. And his price tag is extremely favorable. So a small sample size this season, but he has been well against righty-handed pitching, as you would expect. Career-wise, he's been a lot better to righties. 271 career average. Look at his numbers last season. He was decent, 264 against righties with a lot of power, 22 bombs. At home, he was also very good with a 299 average. This game's not at home, so you can kind of ignore that fact, but I still feel like the matchup's great. He had a 519 slugging and a 256 ISO last season. And career-wise, he has a 184 ISO against righties. And he's been a lot better of a hitter over the past couple seasons than he was. Like the 3 starts that he's made, he has multi-hit games in each one. I feel like it's a great spot for Didi Gregorius against Ivan Nova. In the outfield, I'm going to go with Franmil Reyes. Just love the price tag on him. For a guy in Coors with the amount of power that Reyes has, $4,700 is not a big price tag for him either. Like, he's cheaper than Hunter Renfroe, and even though Renfroe has great numbers against John Gray, I'll still take the power and discount of Franmil Reyes. Reyes has a ton of power against right-handed pitching. Been a little reverse splits with the power this season. His ISO is jumping off the page against righties. He has a 322 ISO compared to a 257 ISO against lefties. At home, he's just batting 225, but on the road, that goes up to 279. And he has 7 bombs in just 26 games on the road. I love the spot for him. Great ballpark upgrade. And John Gray does give up some home runs. And John Gray, also, he's pretty good with the strikeouts, but he can get into trouble. He's given up 12 home runs already on the season. I feel like Reyes has as much probability of anybody on the team of taking him deep, so I like him quite a bit. And last but not least, I like Ian Desmond. Desmond's very favorable at 4,400 facing a lefty here in Strom, making his return off the injured list. Only 4,400. His batting average is up to 258. He's been hitting the ball really well as of late. And we know Desmond can crush lefties. And Strom has been pretty good this season, but he hasn't been great. I think his ERA is over 4, and he does give up some power. Desmond has great numbers against lefties. 290 average this season against lefties with 5 home runs in just 69 at-bats, which gives him a 348 ISO, also striking out way less, 638 slugging percentage, and at home in Coors, he's batting 292. So I feel like it's a great spot for Desmond. I like the price tag on him at 4,400, especially if Arenado misses this game after he left yesterday's game with an injury. I feel like Desmond might be one of my favorite plays on Colorado just because he's cheap. And we know he has great numbers against left-handed pitching. So this is the 6 players that I kind of like. We got solid pitchers. We got amazing hitters with a ton of pop in Hosmer, Gregorius, Desmond, and Reyes. Just going to go through some other games. As always, here we have the Blue Jays taking on the Orioles. I don't mind going with Stroman as your SP2. I'm not going to be attacking that much Orioles against Stroman just because he gets a lot of ground balls. On the Blue Jay side, I think you can look at a few pieces. Like Tellez is still very cheap. Biggio, if he leads off again, I like him. Guerrero's only 42. And Gurriel and Grichuk are also pretty cheap. So you could go with a full-on Blue Jay stack if you want. Here, I'm not interested in any Nationals against Greinke. And the Diamondbacks here, I don't mind going with a few lefties here against Eric Fetty. I like Peralta's price tag at 4,400. I like him, and Escobar has been crushing the ball. He's expensive, so only for GPPs. And I don't mind like Vargas if you need a cheap play. So I like a couple pieces from the Diamondbacks. On the Red Sox, I think they might be popular. I'm not going to be very high on them just because Samson has been good as of late. And we're not getting a huge price decrease on any of the stud hitters. So I don't mind going with them, but in GPPs, I don't think they make for the best cash play just because I think Samson has been pitching pretty good as of late, and I think there's better spots to attack. Here, the Rays, I don't mind going with a few righties like Garcia's really cheap at 40. Not really cheap, but he has power, and he's been hitting the ball so well as of late. I don't mind him at 44, and I don't mind Tommy Pham at 41. My top two plays, and then I also like Yandy Diaz as well. He has great numbers against lefties. In this game, I'll just kind of look at the pitchers, not really anything on the hitter side. Here, Detroit, we have the Tigers and the Royals. Tigers are facing Bailey. You can do a full stack if you want on the Tigers. Not going to be touching Homer Bailey today as a pitching option. And on the Royals side, I think you can look at maybe like a righty or two against Boyd, but I like Boyd a lot as a pitcher. Only guy that interests me is Merrifield at his cheap price tag, given his numbers against lefties over the past couple seasons. Already talked about the Yankees. They make for a great stack, like Sanchez, Voit, Torres, Didi, and Hicks make for a great five-man stack. Like I said, I like the Padres just because they're pretty cheap for a team hitting in Coors. Like Hosmer at 43, I like him. Machado at 44, I like him. Tatis leading off, even though he's expensive. If you can get to him, he has that much upside and that much talent. And then I kind of like Reyes as an outfield play on the Padres. On the Rockies, if Arenado's in the lineup, he makes for a great play. Him, Story, and Desmond. And Reynolds, if he's going to be in the lineup. Top 3 or top 4 plays on the Rocky side. And last but not least, only look at some Dodgers bats here against Leicester. Guys like Kike Hernandez is dirt cheap at 3,400. Great numbers against lefties for Kike. If you need some savings, he makes for a great value play. I like him. I like him, Justin Turner at 4,100, and Chris Taylor are all very cheap and all have good numbers against lefties. So those will be some value plays I will look at on the Dodgers side. That does it for this video. Those are the picks I have my most interest in. Thanks for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed, and